Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/MaliciousCompliance, where people follow orders to the letter to spite somebody. My friends, I hope you're having a lovely day today, and in this episode, you're going to hear 4 stories. The first story, a customer demands some pennies. The second story, a Karen gets fired. The third, OP deals with pranksters, and we'll finish up with a story about a terrible driver. My friends, I hope you enjoy the tales today, and do hit that subscribe button for future stories. Let's dive in. So, I'm a long-time lurker, so I thought I'd share my favorite story from my time in food service, years and years ago. I was a shy, quiet 15-year-old when I first began working at a certain fast food restaurant in my small town. Then I encountered the general public. Many of the morning rush customers were super kind regulars, who I got to know and liked. But then, there was Penny Guy. Now, Penny Guy was not a regular. He placed his order with no initial sign of anything out of the ordinary. His change came to 29 cents, and he said, "No pennies." I asked him, You don't want your pennies, sir?" And he confirmed, "No pennies." This was not unusual. We had a charity donation box right beside the cash register where customers often left unwanted change, or had us deposit it. He says, "Don't give me any damn pennies." I told him, "Of course, sir," and I handed him his quarter. I dropped the pennies in the charity box, and then he exploded, and he said, "What the heck are you doing? A quarter? I wanted 30 cents. How hard is it to round the hell up?" Now, I was caught off guard, and I said, "I'm so sorry, sir, but I can't give back the extra change. We donate what customers don't want, and it all goes to charity." I apologize for the confusion. Well, that was not alright. He went on a very loud tirade about how cheap our restaurant was and how ridiculous it was to round down. He called me a cheap-ass idiot. He then demanded his pennies back, and he said, "You won't rip me off like this. Give me my 29 cents. Now, at this point, I could have given him a nickel from the drawer and replaced it later from my own pocket. If he had been speaking to me like I was a person and not a corporate punching bag, I would have gladly done so. But that's not what he was asking me to do. I put on my sweetest smile and said, "Only the store manager has the keys to this donation box, sir. Give me just a minute, and I will go get her." Now, at this point, one of our regulars behind the Penny Guy speaks up and says, "Don't make her do that. Here's your pennies." He offers Penny Guy some pennies from his own pocket. Penny Guy's face flushes, and he declines and mumbled that this man was going to get his pennies. It took a minute to explain what was happening to the manager, and she laughed and said she'd be there in a second. I told her to wait just a little bit, as I had a plan. So it took her a suspiciously long 10 minutes to retrieve the key and get to the front. Meanwhile, Penny Guy mumbled and fussed, and for some reason stuck around for those 4 pennies. It was the principal, apparently, and it meant that he waited a good 10 minutes while his to-go bag cooled on the counter. Every now and then, when a new customer came to the till, I would look over to Penny Guy right in the eyes and assure him, "Don't worry, sir. The manager will be here shortly to return your 4 pennies from the donation box." This earned him a few looks and some side eyes while he waited. When my manager finally came to the front, we opened up the donation box while the busy store watched. We counted out 4 pennies and handed them back to the now very red-faced and much quieter man. I told him, "I'm so sorry for the confusion. Here is your 4 pennies that I accidentally donated to the charity." He took the pennies and left, still mumbling about what a rip-off the whole thing was. On the bright side, a larger than normal percentage of customers decided to donate their change after watching his tirade. I took some pleasure in the thought of even at minimum wage, my time was worth more than 24 cents an hour. What OP did was completely savage, guys. "Oh, sir, if you wait a few more minutes, my manager will come get your 4 pennies from the donation box." Oh my goodness. Way to stick around to defend your principal, sir. You ended up waiting 10 minutes looking like the worst human being ever. Absolutely love it. So, this happened a few years ago. I was 18 and working as a receptionist for the community nursing service. As the youngest in the team by a long shot, I was usually the one responsible for computer stuff, mostly just simple things. Nothing a quick Google couldn't solve. The other staff members were wonderful, and I learned a lot from working with them. Except for the assistant manager, Karen. This woman was the bane of my existence. She was 75 years old and recently came out of a 15-year retirement as a receptionist. And she was armed with a certificate in business management from a 4-hour online course. She refused to use basic computer skills such as Word or email, stating that she didn't need to learn them again when she had others to do it for her, namely me. In a 5-hour shift, I would spend 3 hours just fielding her tasks. Needless to say, this came along with all the fun personality traits that make her a manager from hell. At the start of my shift, I received an email from Karen asking me to print the attached files. One was a PDF file and the other was an MP4 file, a video file. So, assuming she meant just the PDF and had a mix-up with the MP4, I take the printed copy to her. So, this is roughly how the exchange went. Karen says, "Why do you only have one file? I sent 2. I wanted multiple files printed." I told her, You wanted me to print an MP4? Karen said, "Isn't that what I asked? A monkey could do your job, and probably better at that." Me, being desperate, said, "Look, I don't think you understand. An MP4 is a video." Karen interrupts and says, "Don't you try to teach me, and don't forget that I did your job for 20 years, and now I could have you fired." So, already being over it and ready for some malicious compliance, I said, "Okay, well, I've never printed this type of file before, so it might take a while." And she says, "I don't care how long it takes. I'm your boss, and I've told you to do this. Once it's done, you can move on to other jobs." So right now, I'm grinning ear to ear at this point. I get back to my desk and send her an email summarizing our conversation and explicitly clarifying that she wanted me to print an MP4 file, to which I got a snarky reply. Perfect. So I spent the next 5 hours pausing the video every 2 to 3 frames, screenshotting it, pasting it to a Word document, and printing. The administrative tasks piled up, not that Karen noticed because she mostly spent her time reading magazines and talking on the phone. Now, I felt bad as this placed an extra load on the other receptionist. However, since Karen is universally hated, they gave me their blessings. Once complete, I took a few hundred pages to her desk and sweetly told her that I had printed the other file. She looked smug until she saw what was in front of her. Page after page of almost the same picture as the man moves through the video, some slightly blurry, all in full color. And she was furious. I was 1 hour overtime on my shift, and Karen knew that that would already cause her some issues, so she let me leave, though I knew it wasn't over yet. So as expected, I get called into HR for a meeting the following week, where they accused me of wasting company time and not complying with management. I was about to get written up when I explained the situation in detail and showed them the email, including her awful reply. I also showed them a few more emails and texts where Karen used some particularly descriptive words to insult our staff members, including the very HR rep taking my interview. It turns out that this was the straw that broke the camel's back, as Karen had multiple reports against her from other staff members, and she had been driving HR insane with her own complaints. She lost her job the following week. So the best part about this is it all happened on a Sunday, where I got double pay. I took some of that sweet overtime cash and brought in cupcakes to work once Karen was gone. Guys, I absolutely love this story. I really wonder what she meant when she wanted OP to print an MP4 file. I'm super curious as to what the other file really was, but I guess we'll never ever know, my friends. We'll never ever know. I work in a major pizza chain that has so far been unsuccessful in out-pizzaing the Hut. Our store is in a college town, and everybody is bored as hell right now for obvious reasons. So we've gone from maybe 1 prank call a day to at least 3 to 5, which isn't that much, but it's still really annoying with how much more business we've been getting. The worst part is how uncreative and low effort most of them are. At least 80% of them are, "Can I get a boneless pizza?" or "Is this the Krusty Krab?" This had been going on way too long, so I took up the habit of just hanging up whenever someone starts saying some stupid stuff. The boss wasn't too happy about this, but didn't care enough to say anything until an incident where I hung up on somebody who wanted a boneless pizza, and he called back pissed because he actually wanted to order. So I get a stern talking to from the boss man, and he sends a message to the company's group chat saying, "I know we've been getting more prank calls than usual, but please don't follow in certain people's footsteps and just hang up on them. Take the calls as seriously as possible. If they're ordering something we can't make, calmly explain it to them and offer them something we actually do sell. We want to try to make money off them, even if they're acting dumb." So the very next call is where the fun starts. I said, "Thank you for calling. What can I get you?" The person says, "I'm so hungry. can I get an extra large pizza with triple every topping? I told her, I'm sorry ma'am, we can only go up to 1 extra and double each topping. The person then replies, okay then, can I get 20 XLs of each meat you'll have? So like 20 pepperoni, 20 sausage, etc. Now, these people are obviously high as hell and giggling in the background the whole time. And I said, sure, give me a second to ring it all up. Okay, so that's 180 pizzas. The total will be blah blah blah. And it'll take about 3 hours. The person says, awesome, thanks. We will pay with a check once we get there. So I place the order and not 30 seconds later I hear, what the hell, from the boss. And he runs to the computer. And he says, how are they paying for this? I told him they said with a check. We still take checks for orders over $200, right? Boss says, they can't have been serious. Was this a prank call? I told him, I'm not sure, boss. You said to take all calls seriously. He just grumbles and picks up the phone and calls the customer, and all I hear is super loud laughter as he hangs up. Meanwhile, other employees have started to actually make the ridiculous order, not noticing anything weird about it. So by the time the boss finishes the call and cancels the order on the computer, there's already 5 extra large pepperoni pizzas in the oven. So we got a free dinner for everybody working that night, as well as another message in the group chat, simply saying, in regards to my last message, please use good judgment when taking orders. At least the boss admitted that he was wrong instead of doubling down. I do have one question though, so for large orders like that, shouldn't they accept payment first before starting the order? I mean, that would only make sense, right? Because I can say I want 12 dozen pizzas, and I would never ever come for that 12 dozen pizzas. So, 5 years ago, I was hit by a car while riding my bicycle. The driver turned across the front of me, pretty much into me, and I had absolutely nowhere to go. I hit the passenger door of the car and then tumbled over the front of the car, still clipped to my pedals, taking it with me. The car was pretty damaged. I dented the door, scratched the paint in many places, ripped the door mirror off, smashed the glass, cracked the windshield, and dented and scratched the hood. My bicycle emerged fairly well. The front wheel was bent, the saddle was torn, and the pedals were damaged from hitting the road. I broke my collarbone and lost a crap ton of skin in various places that hit the road. I trashed my helmet and my shorts too. The driver said, sorry mate, I didn't see you, which was pretty obvious. The car was his daughter's and he was taking his grandson out for ice cream. The poor boy got covered in glass from the door window that exploded inwards when I hit it, but he seemed to be okay. The driver gave me his phone number and I took a photo of his driver's license and the insurance details, along with a pile of photos at the scene. I crucially got the details of 2 witnesses too before I passed out from the pain. This all happened on a Friday. I got patched up at the hospital and my partner was able to get my bike home. Because of my broken collarbone, I was in a huge amount of pain, while the doctors could figure out if it needed to be pinned or not over the weekend. So, on Saturday morning, I called the driver and his phone went straight to voicemail. I had taken a good look at my bike and figured out it needed about 350 pounds worth of parts. Wheels, forks, saddles, new bar tape, etc., and something for my cracked phone screen. I guessed about 150 pounds. On the message I left him, I said I was not sure if he wanted to pay for the parts or go through insurance. His daughter calls me back and shouted and swore at me for damaging her car. I explained that he turned across the front of me and it was his poor driving to blame. I mentioned I was sitting on my sofa with a broken collarbone as a result, and all I wanted was to get my bike fixed. She says, you will never get a penny from me. Talk to the police if you want. We will tell them that it was not my car. You will never get a penny from us. Okay, I can comply with that. I called the local police station and they sent a constable down to see me. I carefully explained what happened and showed him the photos from the scene, the damage to my bicycle, phone, helmet, and shorts, and gave him the details of the witnesses. He advised me to get a solicitor on the case too, so I did just that. My bicycle insurance has legal aid cover, so I used it. So, long story short, I had 3 surgeries on my shoulder over the next 18 months or so. The insurance details that the driver gave me were fake. His daughter's insurance company did not cover her father as a driver, and the driver had 6 points on his license already. But crucially, the police found that he had insurance with a company that did not cover him on her car, but only for third-party cover. He only admitted this when they threatened to charge him with driving without insurance and documentation fraud. The police eventually convicted him and gave him enough points to ban him from driving for a year, and fined him £1,500 plus costs. His insurance company that he was with did not pay out the damage to the car. This was probably another £1,500 or more. The insurance company paid for my bicycle damage, which was £550, once assessed by a local shop. They also paid for my clothing and helmet, which was £200, and my phone screen, £180. Then finally, his insurance company paid compensation for my injuries and time off, which was in the 5-figure range. I would have been quite happy for them to pay for my initial assessment of my bicycle and my phone damage, but as they wanted to make my life difficult, it cost them thousands, got the driver banned, and the resulting compensation was a massive bonus to my savings account. Well, I bet the daughter has a surprised Pikachu face on now, doesn't she? OP did not end up getting pennies, but he got tens of thousands of dollars in the end. And it sounds like the dad is a terrible driver, guys. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /MaliciousCompliance. If you guys enjoyed the episode, do give it a thumbs up. If you missed the last episode of our /MaliciousCompliance, OP's neighbor makes a huge mistake by cutting down OP's plants twice and then loses his yard. Guys, check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.